Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Prescribed Fire Briefing for Monday, October 16th, 2023. Starting with the recent precipitation, here we have precip for the past 7 days with the observed amounts on the left and percent of normal on the right. We did have that low pressure system that moved through last week, bringing some precipitation to the northern half of the area and even some high elevation snow, especially in eastern Idaho, western Wyoming, and northern Utah. Still dry over the south and southwestern portions of the region. This morning's satellite imagery, this isn't a looping image, but we do have a high pressure in place over the Great Basin with a low pressure over the Pacific Northwest, some moisture up there, but dry over the basin. It's going to be a pretty boring week for weather with generally dry conditions, sunny skies, and for the most part, light winds. So let's take a look at the general weather pattern by this afternoon. Again, high pressure dominating the Great Basin, but we do see that trough moving into the Pacific Northwest, starting to nudge into Idaho and Northwest Nevada. Maybe some stronger upper level winds there this afternoon. Ventilation rates are fair, especially over Idaho and parts of Nevada, a little bit lower over some portions of Utah. So the transport winds for this afternoon, again, a little bit higher over the central Idaho mountains and portions of northwest Nevada, but for the most part light elsewhere underneath that high pressure ridge. And mixing heights are fair today, a little bit higher in western Nevada. On Tuesday, that low quickly skirts across Idaho and into the northern Rockies. That will bring some stronger winds to the north, but generally lighter winds further south. Still sunny conditions, not really expecting a lot of precip with that low. Ventilation rates increase across the north and east tomorrow. So those transport winds as that low moves across are expected to pick up over central and eastern Idaho and western Wyoming, and maybe a little bit over the higher elevations of northwest Utah. Mixing heights pick up also as that low tracks across the northern Rockies there, with higher values over much of the eastern Great Basin. On Wednesday, a high pressure ridge starts to build back into the Great Basin or into the western U.S. for continued dry, sunny conditions with light winds moving back in. Ventilation rates start to decrease underneath this high pressure ridge over Nevada and western Utah, southwest Idaho. On Wednesday, light winds return to the Great Basin and lowering mixing heights, especially over the western portions of the basin underneath that high pressure ridge. Still some higher mixing heights over eastern Utah and up into western Wyoming. The clearing index for the next couple of days is shown here. Some not great values over much of Utah today, but those values pick up over the higher elevations, especially on Tuesday with some of those gustier winds. And then on Wednesday, we see some of those higher values lingering over the east with higher mixing heights in Utah. The 3-day precip totals are shown here. Not really expecting much in the way of precip as that trough moves across the northern portions of the area in the northern Rockies, but may see a little bit of precip there over the central Idaho mountains. On Thursday, the high pressure remains the dominant feature for warm and dry conditions. Ventilation rates are not going to be great as the high pressure ridge moves overhead. Ridge remains in place for Friday. Warm and dry conditions continue. Looks like we see a little bit of improvement in the ventilation rates on Nevada on Friday. Possibly some winds moving in there. Maximum temperatures for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday kind of show the general trend here. It's going to be a warm week. 80 degrees in Reno today, Wednesday, and into Friday, and highs in the 70s up north. Actually pretty warm in Boise today, up to 83. So pretty warm, definitely warmer than average for this time of year across the area. Again, light winds, generally dry conditions. Pattern holds into Saturday as the ridge remains in place, possibly weakening just a bit. There's maybe a little shortwave trough moving through the flow in Nevada, keeping the ventilation rates a little bit higher there. And then by Sunday, we'll start to see a trough moving into the Pacific or into the western U.S. perhaps, and that's our first change at some cooler temperatures and maybe some stronger winds. Ventilation rates definitely improving on Sunday if this trough comes through like that. Precipitation for days 4 and 5. This includes Thursday through Saturday. Big old goose egg. So with that high pressure ridge overhead, we're not looking for any precipitation as we head into the weekend, or at least the first part of the weekend. The extended forecast for October 23rd through the 29th puts us to near normal temperatures and gives us above normal chances for precipitation heading into the end of the month. This concludes today's briefing. Please check back on Wednesday for the latest updates.